2, which is going to be under assignments, projects, and exercises. It's called Project 2 Type Specimen Alphabet Book Interior. I'm going to click on this section right here. And I'm going to open this up a little bit more so we can see more information. So at the top it tells us when each thing is due. The design brief is due on this day. The Phase 2 layout sketches are due on this day. Phase 2 digital rough comps are due on this day. And the due date is open until October 7th, and that's so that you can turn in all 3 of these assignments. The last one being on October 7th, which is over here, the due date. I'm going to scroll down. These are some of the templates that you will be using throughout these phases of creating this type specimen book. So there's going to be 3 phases to this book, but in this section we are going to go through phases 1 and 2. Those phases are going to be down here. We'll go through these phases one at a time, but first I wanted to point out that these are some examples of the type specimen book that you can take a look at. If you click on them, it'll take you to Behance, where you will be also posting your book. And this just goes through how the person went through and created their book, and you can get some inspiration and some ideas of how you want to first set up your Behance, but also how you want to lay out your book. There are also some other students in here that you can take a look at, and also one that has a video that you can look at the end, more examples as well. This link right here is to the Blurb plugin, which we will get into in a few minutes. I wanted to go over the objective of this project. So the objective of the project is to identify and incorporate important processes used in the creation of typeface, and the experiences realized are fundamental to the continued development of your artistic and design as an artist and a designer. Your skills that you're going to create or incorporate into this are grids, typography, hierarchy, layout, and InDesign skills. This will be a 54-page InDesign book exported as a PDF, which it will do from Blurb, which I mentioned earlier. It is going to be a 5x5. You may choose to, let me get this highlighted here. You may choose to do something different size, but it will cost you more. I would highly recommend that you just stick to the 5x5 because that's what we'll be working on in class. You'll use module grid, as I will show you later on, which may vary if I approve it. You have to come to me and ask for approval for a different variation. You're going to create an alphabet. You're going to create an alphabet of 26 letters, and the letters will be made up of actual objects. So you're going to, get this highlighted. You're going to create some objects, as you saw in that first example that I just showed you a minute ago with the coffee beans. For example, this person, I'm going to go back to it, created letters with coffee beans. You're going to come up with your own idea of what you want to create with the 26 letters, what kind of objects you're going to actually use and photograph on a similar background. Then you're going to create a grid publication using InDesign, and you're going to utilize paragraph styles, character styles, image placement, and body copy. Here's where we get into the process. The process will be done in phases, as I mentioned before. You'll complete the interior pages of the book first, and that is in phase 1 and 2. The cover is project 3, which will be phase 3. The final requirements for phase 2 are the design brief, layout sketches, digital comps. And while you are creating these top three that are due, these three at the top that are due, also at the top of this assignment, while you're doing that, you will be working on the combination of what typeface you're going to use, what weight you're going to use, your written descriptions, and your color palette, as well as if you're going to incorporate any additional images. So for instance, I'll click back over here to this person's. They decided to use some images within their layouts. So they had a background image, as you can see it faintly there, and they also had these images of different types of coffee. And they did their own photography for the front cover. So they did their own photography for the front cover, and they did their photography for the alphabet here, and they also did their own photography for the background. So phase two, their design brief. For the design brief, what you'll be doing is filling out the design brief, which has a link at the top for you to link onto. And what you're going to do for that is you're going to look at what your objective is for your overall goal, what your style that you're going to use, what kind of mood are you going to create, what kind of message do you want to talk about during those little body copies on the right side. Who's your target audience? Is it going to be children? Is it going to be adults? Is it going to be coffee lovers? Is it going to be animal lovers? What are the deliverables? What do you need to do in order to create this information? What is the timeline that you're going to have to get this done? And you are going to need to set a timeline schedule for yourself to create all this information. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top, and I'm going to go to this Google Drive Design Brief link. And I have created a Google Design Brief for you with some basic information that I put in there as an example for you to create your own ideas. So these are just what the information I filled in for objective, style, message, and target audience are just examples. For the deliverables in the format, these are also examples of ways that I would take photography and how I would get it onto my computer and download it. And here we have the schedule. This is just basically all the information that I have laid out in the projects. What are the final deliverables? You can change this if you like. I would highly recommend that you leave it the same. Here is the deliverables timeline. So what dates are you going to put in here? For example, the design brief has a due date of, I think, October or September 29th, which is past. You could put that in there. You could also put in when your layouts are due. That is right here. Your layouts are due on the 2nd, for instance, as an example. You would put October 2nd in here. And then the rough comps are due on the 7th, which you would put in here. So these things are up to you. The letters, when you're going to get each set of letters done, when you're going to download blurb, when you're going to get your images created, when you're going to do your cut type combinations and color variations, and the final you can put in there later when we get to phase 3, the final date. Or you can look on the project and just put it in there. You're going to decide how you're going to get this done and when you're going to get it done. You can download it to your Google Drive by going here and copying the link and copying it and opening it up in your own Google Drive. So you can download this and put it into your Google Drive. All right, I'm going to go back to the assignment and scroll down to phase 2, the layouts. You're going to do 30 thumbnail sketches of different styles. And what I wanted to show you over here is an example of another student, the same student that did the copy, an example of her 30 thumbnails. So there is a download in the project of this particular page, and you're going to fill out each page with a different layout. We use a box with an X through it for an image. We use these small boxes here for subheaders, and we use these ones for body copy. As you can see, these are the columns that we talked about in class. There's 3 columns on this one. You can change it later when we get into InDesign. But as you can see with the student, she lined up her typography with the columns. That's what I want you to do. Make sure everything lines up in a column. Everything is in a column or a module. These little squares are modules. These are columns. These little things right here are gutters. Nothing goes in the gutter. These are gutters separate each column. You can go across 2 columns, but if you're going to create something that is 1 column wide, for instance this image, you want to stay within that column. These lines here that go across, these are called flow lines. These are part of the module that can help you decide where you're going to put information. So for instance, she put this into one of the modules and kept it within the module. She lined up one of her subheaders at the top of a module within 1 column. So she has 30 here. There are 8 on each page. So that's 8, 16, 24, and 30. This is the style that I want to see when you turn in your handwritten layouts. Now I'm going to go back to the project, and I'm going to scroll up to the top of the project, and you will see the layout PDF here. You can download this, print it out, which I did print it out and I handed it out in class. You can also do it yourself, and you will need 3 pages in order to create 30 thumbnails. It says right here you will need to create 30 thumbnails. For the next phase, the rough comps are basically close to finished. You're going to create a minimum of 3 layouts. And again, these are spreads 2 pages wide. Like you're opening up a book and you're looking at one side, the left and the right side. I'm going to go back over to these examples over here. This student actually went a step farther, and she kind of created a handwritten rough layouts before she went to her final rough layouts. So this is another thing that you can do. You can do some more hand-drawn rough layouts that go in between the just plain sketches and the final rough layouts. But I'm going to go up to her final roughs that she did, and here she has 3 ideas. This is her cover page. This is her front and back cover page. So she did 3 of these. You're going to do the same kind of thing for the interior as well. You're going to do 3 rough layouts, which are close to finish. And again, I'm going to come back over here to her final layout and show you they should be close to this. They should be close to almost finished with maybe just a few changes, maybe working on the typography, maybe making sure that that's where you want your image to be, making sure that your images look good. So they should be close to this when you get to the rough layout. I'm going to go back to the assignment, and I am going to go down to when these are due. So while you're working on these, you're going to be working on your type combinations and what type of typeface you're going to use. And as well as, are you going to use bold, or are you going to use regular? And you are also going to decide what your header is going to be, what your subheader is going to be, and what your body copy is going to be. You're going to need to write 26 body copies for each of the words, for each of the letters, I'm sorry. Like here, this is the body copy right here in this area. So you're going to have to write 26 of these, one for each letter. This is how you're going to be turning them in. Make sure that you are labeling them correctly, and you're putting your PDF of your design brief into your working files. you're going to put your layout sketches in a PDF in your working files, of course under Project 2, and then you're also going to do that with your digital rough comps. And you're going to submit a link to each one of these through October 7th. So design brief on this day, layouts on this day, and digital rough comps, on that day. Please let me know if you have any questions and if you are having problems finding any of these documents. So here's the rough comp sketches here, which I will print out and give you in class if you haven't already done so. And then we are going to also talk about pagination for the blurb book. So pagination for the blurb book, this will show you that, and I'm going to zoom in just a teeny bit, if it'll let me. No, it's not going to let me. So this is showing you how it's going to be laid out when we get to the InDesign document. You're going to have a page with a letter on it and body copy. And you are going to have a cover page and a back cover. You're going to have an introductory page, and these are going to be your page numbers here, which we will get into later once we download the InDesign blurb plugin. So this is also here for you to download and start thinking about exactly how this is going to be laid out. So again, let me make sure that I went over everything. This is the blurb getting started download, which I will work on in the next video.